and they win it 91-84 over the Hawkeyes. Randolph Childress is here. Mike LaTulip is here. Randolph Childress, I'm going to start with you. Tom Izzo, year 30. Heading into the year, we were not talking about the Spartans being a top 10, top 15 caliber team. We were wondering, would that NCAA tournament streak continue? Well, you knew it would, but how about this, man? This is, put this in perspective from your standpoint of the Spartans doing this.
Fans, so let's go back to the Champions Classic. We were there, and we both left thinking, is this the same Michigan State team that's going to struggle to shoot the basketball, it's going to struggle to score, and it's going to be a similar year than it was last year? They squeak into the tournament, a high seed, and with Tom Izzo win a game or two, we knew it was possible with him. What we didn't see is them possibly coming in as a 2 seed, as high as a 2 seed this year. I mean, it's been lamented all year what they've done, just playing much faster in transition. They always defend it, but they showed in the second half what they're capable of when they're making shots. And that's just the question mark, you know, and I think they're going to have to overcome someone committing to them playing a zone. I would try to, that's the way I would play them and force them to try to make shots. They obviously came out in the second half, and once they started making shots, they hit 5 of their first 10 threes. At that point, it was over. They blew the game open at that point. So I'm a big Izzo fan. I've said that. He's my favorite. I can't say I'm totally surprised, but I am a little bit surprised from what we saw at the Champions Classic, because we were sitting there going, man, I'm about to fall asleep. They can't shoot. They can't make shots. And they've done that this year. They played a little faster, so they hadn't had to sit around, but they've lost a lot. They developed those guys from within. Richardson just stepped up and became the guy, a closer for those guys, man. They got depth. They got bodies. They got size. I like Michigan State. They're a team you're not going to want to play. I don't care when you see them in the NCAA tournament.
Michael, how amazing is this?
It's pretty amazing because I think in the offseason, it's not like they went crazy in the portal, right? Or just tried to overhaul things. And he said that. I mean, at the end of the year last year, he stood in that hallway and he said, I don't want to have this feeling again, and we're going to get back to where we were. And that didn't mean that he just overhauled things. That he stuck to his guns and bet on continuity. And if you look around college basketball, I'm surprised this happened for Michigan State, for sure. But we shouldn't be surprised, because outside of Duke being the outlier, look at Houston's returners, and they're going to win the Big 12. Look at Auburn's returners, and they're going to win, the SEC. Like there's a bet on continuity here, and that's what Michigan State's done. And in this game tonight, I thought this game was emblematic of just the mettle and the grit that they've had really all year. I think the first almost 30 minutes of this game, Iowa was a tougher team. Iowa owned the paint. Iowa was getting them on the glass. Like all the things that has made Michigan State this year, Iowa was doing in this game. And the second that game got chippy, when it was 53-46, it was a Michigan State game. And Trey Holloman's barking. Izzo's going nuclear on the sidelines. And that thing opened up. They had a 35-6 run in that second half. And they refused to get screened. And RCU talked about it. They stepped in confidently. They knocked down shots. But getting the stops, too, allowed them to use their pace, get out in transition, get Cohen Carr going. And then just the blend, the mixture they had. I thought they settled a little bit in the first half. Second half, it was like, great, we'll take the threes if we have them. But the openness that we're shooting these threes with, we can now kind of rework our brain to say this openness is also a driving lane. And they tried to get downhill and get to the free throw line. So it's pretty fitting they won the outright championship in the fashion they did tonight. And I just love to see guys like Izzo. We see it with Pitino in the Big East too, just guys that have that kind of old school grit and style and still get on guys when you're up 10, down 10, up 20, down 20. That's the stuff I love about it, man. Izzo's been tremendous this year. I think he should be in the Coach of the Year conversation.
Randolph, where would you put Tom? First of the guys still doing it actively and all time.
Again, you can call me biased. I've always, even when they've, the last couple of years when everybody been saying he's lost a little bit of fastball, I've said this, and I've said this. He's been my favorite. He's a guy that I have looked at and said, man, I wish I could have. I wouldn't have mind playing for Tom Izzo. I just understand that. I get it. I wouldn't have a problem with the way he communicates with his players. That wouldn't bother me. But what my biggest jump, like I said to you about the team, it isn't him because again, I'm biased toward him. He's been my favorite of all the coaches, new and old, right now. It's just when we watch this team in Champions Classic, literally we were sitting there, we're making runs to get coffee. Like we're like, man, these guys can't shoot again. Oh, this is going to be another. They're shooting 3 of 20, 2 of 20s. This is no different than they were a year ago. And to see where they're on now, defensively, they just look better. Playing with pace. They have been the most consistent team, one of the most consistent teams in the country, and definitely the most consistent team in the Big Ten. And I thought they would sleepwalk in the first half, talking like, all right, well, they're not ready to play. This thing is going to go down to Michigan State, which would be awesome if they were playing for it. And then Michigan State stepped out the second half, took care of business, and reminded everybody like, no, we're different. We're the most complete team in the Big Ten, and they stepped up and showed it defensively, toughness, everything we talked about, and it's why they're next Sunday's game doesn't matter.
Mike, now I got to ask the question because it's like Michigan State is 25-5. And it feels like other times in Tom Izzo's career, if they had that type of a record in a league that's going to send as many teams as the Big Ten can send to the NCAA tournament, it doesn't feel like people believe. And I'm not saying they're on the level of an Auburn, Duke, or a Houston. But I also am looking at him, Mike, and I'm thinking to myself, why not? Why can't they be on the Riverwalk? Why can't they be in San Antonio? What say you?
They certainly can. I think the issue is that when you start the season unranked, when you're picked, whatever they were, 6th maybe in the league, 6th, 7th, fifth. Not really looked at as like a real contender in the league. A lot of talk about Purdue and Indiana and Illinois and kind of UCLA because they were new and like the new shiny toy in the Big Ten. And then they even get into conference play and they go 9-0, and all the talk was about their schedule. Well, it's their schedule, right. and there's a reason why that they're 9-0, and they've played the 17th out of 18 teams, the 17th easiest, or I guess the 17th hardest schedule out of all the Big Ten teams. And then the gauntlet that they went through leading up to this Iowa game, when you look at Illinois, home Purdue, at Michigan, at Maryland, home Wisconsin, that's about as big of a gauntlet. Outside of maybe Bama, what Bama's been going through the last week or two, that's about as big of a gauntlet as you can have. And they answer the bell. And then you think the one time that they'll exhale is Iowa. And they kind of did there in that first half. And then they just showed you exactly what we've been seeing all season. So, yeah, the reason why they're so consistent is because they bring their toughness, their defense, and their rebounding to every single game. And that's stuff that you can bring every single game. They don't have to rely on jump shots. If they go in, great. They'll probably run you out of the gym. But if they don't, they can still win games in that way. And I think that just gives you just a certain confidence, I think, as a group. And they play a lot of guys. They play fast. And, it's the beauty of it, too, is like no matter what personnel grouping is in there, it all looks the same. Like everybody plays the same way. And that bodes well for continuity and for style.
It does look the same, but where I think it looks different is you're not sitting around wondering, all right, they got to give the ball to Walker and hoping he's making a shot. Other than that, they got no chance, right? Like that. Yeah. That's where it looks different to me. Like this is a deep team that is interchangeable parts. He just needs 5 players, but he plays 10, and that's I think is their strength. If you're playing them and you're relying on a guy, they're gonna when you play against this Michigan State team in the tournament, they're gonna take away your strength. And they're going to do it with depth and bodies. And now they're not relying on one guy. When Richardson is playing the way he's playing, I think it elevates him because he's just showing how talented and how good he is. But it seems to be that it's a different guy. A different guy will step up and do something great on the offensive end with Michigan State. So, again, we know they're going to defend. They're going to rebound the basketball. That's going to keep them in it. How far they go will be how far their offense can help them. But defensively and rebounding and controlling the tempo and pace of the game, they're going to do that no matter who they play. But if they're making shots, then look out.